Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Oh, I'm making sure my notes are stuck up on my computer here so I can see what I'm going to talk about today. Michael Sherlock here, CEO of Kukla Biz and Shock Your Potential. And oh, there go my notes. So you know how it goes on a Monday morning. We got to get that back up there. We are talking about an issue that I think is really important. It's very important to me for a couple reasons. And number one, it's about sanity. But it also, if you notice kind of the theme we've had for the last couple weeks, it's all about being more effective as a remote worker. Whether that's full time or hybrid, it doesn't really matter. It's about whether or not you're doing the things and have the space and the mindset and the, kind of the wherewithal as well as the planning to make that kind of remote work effective. Now, not everybody has to work remotely. If you're in a customer facing role like hospitality or retail sales, obviously you're not going to have the same issue. But what we are seeing as we move into a new world is that remote work, whether it's one day a week, 1 week a month, full time, is a part of our landscape moving forward. And how we operate in that environment is really, really important, not just for getting things done, but actually for the progression of our careers or businesses if we're entrepreneurs. And so today I want to tackle something that to me is very critical that we don't always take into account. And that is, what is my workspace doing to help me or hinder me in the achievement of my goals? Now, there's an ulterior motive here for me as well. So I'll just be honest. And that is that truly, if you followed last week where we were talking about being committed to your company and having respect for those that sign your paycheck, then, or if it's you yourself that, your paycheck that you're paying yourself, that you are doing everything you can to have a workspace environment that actually is conducive to achieving goals and results. Now, here's the thing. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, we actually had only a very small percentage of the population anywhere globally that worked remotely. It was very unique. In fact, many businesses really didn't care for it when people were working remotely or from home because there were these misconceptions or accurate conceptions, depending on what you were looking at, that people who worked remotely were not organized. They didn't achieve as much. They weren't as goal oriented. Maybe they were considered lazy. And, here's the thing, some of those things were actually correct, but other ones weren't. I mean, we found that when, as a global society, we had to start working remotely at the beginning of that pandemic that we at that time thought was going to be, a week, maybe a month. Okay, maybe a couple months. And now we are years later saying, okay, how did this affect us? In the beginning, we managed work because we had to. Now we're saying, if we're moving forward with this, we need to be better at it. And what we know is this: we know that a huge portion of the working population is going to work remotely at least one day a week. And many businesses are going remotely much more frequently than that, especially when we have different things like variants popping up. But because we're also seeing that people are demanding this in their work environment. Now, the Great Resignation is something that's happening to many places in the world, but it's based a great deal right now on people saying, I want something different from my work environment. They are creating new avenues for our businesses to operate. But on the flip side, we have to be more committed than ever to make those work environments more conducive, more productive, and yes, have better outcomes. Why? Because at the end, if that doesn't work, if we don't deliver more, or at least what we delivered before, businesses will revert and say, we need to operate back the way we were before and make it more efficient. So we've got a little bit of an opportunity here. One other thing before I get into my top 10 tips for creating what I call a sacred workspace is to understand now that more than ever, the global opportunity for people has increased by people being able to work remotely. In other words, we are able to have people work from other parts of the world that didn't have that kind of opportunity before, to work for everything from global iconic brands as well as to, small businesses like mine all over the place. And how we operate makes a huge difference. And by the way, a great shout out to my buddy, John Harrington. He says it's great to see me. And it's so nice to hear from you, John. So let's dive right into this. Let's talk about my top 10 tips for creating and maintaining a sacred home workspace. And my word sacred there is very, very critical. Good morning, Jennifer. I see you popping in there as well. Okay, number one. Now, these are not in any particular order except for number one. And number one is so important. Are you ready? Are you ready? Hold on. Just pull yourself together. Number one, if you don't treat your workspace environment in your home as if it were an office in the employer's building, no one else will. Think about that. If you don't treat it as a sacred office space with as much respect as if you were going into the office building owned by your employer every single day, no one else in your life will treat it that way either. Whoa, Michael, what do you mean by that? Well, I think you know what I mean by it. But let's dive down here just a little bit deeper. So, creating a workspace that is conducive is really, really, really important because it tells yourself in your own psyche and the people around you that I'm going to get work done here. So, whether you live in a huge house, you live in a one bedroom apartment, you live in your parents' basement, creating an office space means actually finding physical space that is where you get your work done and creating an office set up there that you treat with that same respect as if you were going somewhere else. And when you do that and you set those boundaries, the people around you will respond to them and they will respond positively. It just takes some dialogue at the same time. And it also takes preparation, but it takes that mindset that every day when you go to work, that you are going to work. If you are trying to work remotely from every place that you are, when you go to walk your dog in the park or, here and there throughout your day, because, maybe you don't have that space set, you will not get results that will make a difference in business. You will not get results that will make a difference for your career or for your own company if you're an entrepreneur. So that's the critical one. Now, the rest will make a lot of sense as we go through, but I want you to think about them, each one, as we talk about them. Number one, you must have a door. Now, that might be a literal door or a figurative door. And let me tell you why. I do not have a literal door to my office. My office is in the basement of my home. I look from my desk up at a short run of stairs. The only window I have is behind me with Yoga Dog reminding me to breathe. So I do not have a closed door ability. Now, this never made a difference to me until my husband had to start working from home, at least partially, and from time to time, depending on what's going on with their office. But it never was a problem until there was somebody else in the space. And so then this became about something else. So let me tell you, I didn't even think about it. It wasn't something we even contemplated. But when we first started working together a couple years ago, even when he'd come down to get a cup of coffee, I'd hear him come down the stairs from the guest bedroom where he created his office, which does have a door. I'd hear him walk across my ceiling. I'd hear him getting into the refrigerator, making another cup of coffee. And if I was doing a live broadcast like this or having a client call or a Zoom call or a training session with my employee, it was distracting. Now, is it his fault? No, because I hadn't created a dialogue yet to have a figurative door for my office. So what we did is we started sitting down, and every morning we have a debrief if he's working from home where I say, what's your day look like? What are your critical appointments? Let me tell you about my day, my critical appointments. So we are respecting each other's space. It also means that we understand that if there's something really important going on in my world, like a live broadcast, that he's not going to come down those stairs unless the world is on fire. And that shows respect for me. That also, with me having that dialogue, shows that I respect my work and being dedicated to that. Now, number 3, treat your home office with the same respect that you would treat your office or workspace or cubicle in your companies. You may think that that sounds very familiar to number 1, but it's also about making sure that your actual physical space looks and feels like an office that you value what you're doing there. So yeah, number 1 is about make sure that you treat it as an office and other people recognize that you show by your actions in your dialogues what it is. But this one is about recognizing that this space needs to also be designed in a way that helps you be effective, that helps you feel like you're a part of something. Working remotely can be incredibly lonely. By setting up your office the same way you would be in another office, so your home office, the way you would have your cubicle or your general workspace or your office in a big environment, means that you're saying, hey, what do I need? What do I need on my desk? What do I need in my visual field? In fact, the other day I said to my husband, I'm getting a little tired of not seeing outside. I miss that. And that's because I used to travel a great deal. So it wasn't problematic for me to spend every single day only seeing the backside of, some other walls in my office and not seeing outside. Treating that office space as if it was in somebody else's office building also means that you're saying, how do I want this to look? How do I want to feel? And what am I saying about myself? Hmm, about how it's put together. That means, do I have a messy desk? Do I have things sitting around? What do I have near me that tells a story about me, my work ethic, and my commitment to the company? Number 4, understand the physical needs you have in your workspace. How many people, when we started long ago, ancient years ago, working from home, when people were hunched over on their dining room table, in the dining room chairs, they're trying to make their workspaces work for however long they knew they were going to have to. But physically, it was uncomfortable. I'm in a bad chair. I have a bad setup. Maybe I don't have a monitor anymore, so I'm trying to look at a very small screen on my laptop. Those things physically have an impact on our body, which impacts our mental abilities, which also impacts our output. So if you see, the better we take care of ourselves physically in our bodies, the better our outcomes and our deliveries are. One of the things that I made an investment in, and I'm going to talk about investing in just a minute in yourself, is I actually invested in a desk that rises and lowers so that sometimes when even my office chair, which is pretty comfortable for the most part, gets a little uncomfortable, I can actually stand and work from my desk. And when I present, I always raise the desk to present. You may not have that option or even want that option, but it's an example of understanding the physicality of our jobs. When we are now working sitting a great deal every day rather than getting up and going to the coffee break room, just wandering by somebody's office to say hello and to network with them or to get some feedback, we need to take care of our physical bodies in order to keep our minds sharp. So that moves to number 5. Invest in yourself, in your office space, or ask your company to do so in certain circumstances. So if you need a better chair, you need a different desk setup, you need an extra monitor. Some people need 2 or 3 monitors, especially those people who are working on, financial spreadsheets. God love you. I don't know how you do it. I would lose my mind. But I know people that need several monitors. And if those are important elements for your job and to keep your physicality healthy, then talk to your company and see what's available to you or invest in it yourself. Because at the end of the day, those things make a difference, not only in what you can deliver for that company, but for your future. And remember, we're not just talking about what you deliver for your company. The more effective you are, the more likely you are to continue to advance your career when we are working in an environment where career advancement is going to change dramatically. When you're no longer every day being seen physically and having those in-person interactions with people, your ability to be upwardly mobile in your company is going to change. So your output is going to be more important than ever. Sometimes those investments are worth it, which goes into number 6, which is invest in yourself. So sometimes we need additional training. Maybe you need to invest in a meditation program. Maybe you want to invest in another certification program, something that's going to help you to not only excel in your career, excel in your skill set, but be another proof that you're dedicated to making sure that your future is paved the way you want it to be. Number 7. Now, this is where we take a deep breath. We take a little reminder from Yoga Dog and we say, Immerse yourself in the rest of the world at least twice a day. Oh, Michael, what does that mean? Remember when at the beginning of the pandemic, long, long ago, we used to take a lot of walks, try and go out and take breaks. Now we're back into a grind. We're back to working harder. We're saying, hey, this is not going to end tomorrow. This is going to be my life. So we've forgotten some of the important factors like let's stop and take a break at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., for instance. And during that time, let's take a nourishing, healthy snack for our bodies. And let's take a look outside the window, or let's take a single walk around the block that may take 5 minutes, but will have immense payoff in terms of your mental health. That ability to immerse yourself in the world is not only going to keep you going, make you more effective, keep you more fresh, but it's going to help avoid burnout. And that's going to be something that we really have to watch over time with more and more people working remotely as well as hybrid remotely. Burnout has always been a factor in our work environments. This is going to be something that I believe we're going to see much more substantially. Number 8, find a lunch partner. Remember back in the day when we used to have, Zoom happy hours, or we'd get everybody together, and that was the only way we could see each other. Well, now we can see each other much more frequently, but we still have lost that one-on-one interaction with work colleagues. That's just important. It's just as important for your mental health as well as your career networking opportunity. And I don't mean you have to do this every day, but at least once a week, I challenge you to do this. Find someone in your work environment that you will say, let's meet up. You bring your lunch, I will bring my lunch, and we'll Zoom together for 30 minutes and just say, how's it going? What are you working on? Do you need any help? Do you need any support? That lunch partner is another tether to the rest of the world. Yes. So that's great for your mental health. But that replaces those breaks by the water cooler where you had those interactions with other people, and expand them. Take those opportunities. Ask your boss, "Hey, could I get a 15-minute lunch networking session with you? I just want to have somebody to eat lunch with and just be able to ask you questions about what's coming up or about my job." Don't make it a big deal. Make it about something that you're trying to replace that used to happen in person more frequently. Number 9, post positive quotes, visions, dream boards, have plants in your office, have those things that spark your soul and your imagination, and have them be visible. Everybody has something that will keep them going during those moments. I have, and I thought I'd share this with you. I have this little bottle, and if you can't read it, it is grapefruit essential oil. All right, that's not going to go very well. And I put this on when I'm starting to feel really kind of lethargic, especially in the afternoon. I take off the lid, I sniff it, I put a couple drops on my wrists, I rub them together. And what that does is it not only invigorates me, but this to me is a symbol. Not only does it actually help me, but it's a symbol of remembering to take care of myself, to make this workspace something that also feeds my soul, not just feeds my job and my company. And that way, work is not just work, and my workspace is not just a space, it is a part of my overall well being. Now, number 10 of my top 10 tips is talk to your colleagues and your friends about working from home. Don't shy away from this topic. It's not done just because the rest of the world is starting to move and churn more frequently, and we are going back into offices more frequently. We know this is going to be still a part of our world. So talk to them. How do you set up your work environment? What's your office like? What has been the best thing that you have done to make your office more effective? Let them learn from you. Ask them what challenges they're still facing. Because my top 10 tips are the things that I've learned. You may find things that are even more beneficial to you as well as to them. So, as we wrap up today, I want you to consider this. Our work environments are critical. We are asking ourselves a lot of questions these days about what's important. What's important for my job, my work, my life, my balance? What do I want to achieve? And how do I want my life to work with my work? But we also have to say, how do I want my work to work effectively with my life when I'm working from home? So, with these goals in mind and keeping an eye on what the space looks like, how important it is, we will also be committing ourselves more fully to whether it's our career goals, our company goals, our future goals for ourselves. And we'll be doing so with purpose. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm always trying to achieve. Make sure that we are doing things for the right reasons to create positive, productive, and profitable workplaces. Thanks for joining me today. I am Michael Sherlock. Please find us here again with Shock Your Potential, and looking forward to seeing you guys again next Monday.